Hello once again, people. So yeah, we're continuing along in a Dark Hour and whatnot, and we made it to yet another level in the sequence. Last time around, I showcased abstractions. Probably one of the biggest highlights I could probably show from Dark Hour, just as a representative as a whole what Dark Hour is. Because Dark Hour really is a pack that you can't really express by one level. It really is a pack that's a big hodgepodge of different stuff all thrown together and said, here you go. Which, in my opinion, is really the best way to do this. Um, it definitely makes it a lot more interesting than, say, the monotonous nature that was Q2, or even Aftershock. Aftershock, a lot of the problem was it had a lot of test levels, has a lot of multiplayer levels, has a lot of stuff that's not single player based that you can really play as a level. But even the stuff that is single player feels lacking. It feels like something is missing. And like I said, I think I discovered, as I said last time, it has to do with the abstract idea or concepts of really um basically experimental nature is going on here. Things being different. The fact of the matter is that we can play two levels and they feel entirely different. Like, basically, some insane person came in and every single level decided it has to be totally different for everything else that ever existed in the history of Quake. And basically, it succeeded in that role. Honestly, I think every single one of these levels feels very, very different in an awesome way. I think that's one of the reasons why exactly I feel like Dark Hour did better than the others. Yes, it still has its flaws, mainly because experimental is still flawed in itself. Experimental usually is going to have something that comes out pretty disasterful. I think that's pretty much true of any experimental thing. You're going to have something that's pretty terrible, in fact, worse in general. But at the same time, you're also going to have really good highlights. And I think, really, at the end of the day, that is kind of worth it. Honestly, I'd rather have something that has really good highs and lows than something that's rather one-notedness. Um, I think this kind of translates over to everything. This is a big reason why I'm a fan of like Metallica's Saint Anger. If you guys are all interested in like Metallica or whatnot, you know right off the bat that what I'm saying is probably absolute heresy because that's basically considered the worst album of all time. But yeah, it's the experimental nature, the fact that they weren't afraid to do something totally different outside the spectrum really makes that one feel very, very special, in my opinion. And I think that kind of really applies to Dark Hour as well, for very similar reasons. And probably actually applies to a lot of things I do. Like I said, I think at the end of the day, that's one of the reasons why old school gaming has a certain appeal that still lasts to this day. Because the fact of the matter is, it's not trying to be anything. Maybe it's due to technological limitations at the time. Maybe it's because of whatever. But it really was not trying to be anything. It's absolute insanity sometimes. And that absolute insanity is absolutely brilliant. um, the unreality of the situation is great because sometimes you don't want to be in reality. You don't want to have something reflect in the real world. And I think this kind of perfectly captures stuff like that. The fact of the matter is that it has a certain realism to it to the point that it feels like its own environment, its own world. Um, I feel Quake definitely was better than earlier games, and one of the reasons why I like Quake, because the fact of the matter is, it captures a world while not being realistic. It's basically coming up with its own rule set, coming up with some sort of, I guess you could say, semi-realism or so, basically adding believability to its world, but then making this world different from our own, making it feel like its own unique place, filled with Lovecraftian horrors and abstract concepts that could be found nowhere on Earth. And it's that type of stuff that really makes it worth playing because at the end of the day, we've seen things that are in real life. You could see them in pictures. You see them in Google Images. You probably see them in your history books. Probably it's based on popular locations you've been seeing. But you haven't seen the imagination of these twisted people that made some of these levels. And at the end of the day, I think that's kind of what really brings some of the appeal is the fact that some of these people really came up with some really twisted ideas. And I like that. It definitely, I guess, depends if you want full out realism or not. But I'm of the camp that definitely prefers a lot less realism in my gaming. And I think, therefore, that's why this type of stuff is probably ideal for me. I would say even more to extent would be like Thief or something like that. Thief, I feel, took this and ran with it and really made like the perfect world analogy or so. But Thief really kind of carved out an entire new avenue, I guess you could say, of like exploration and FPSs. Basically making it an even more in-depth world than anything that came before. For what it was, Quake was a pretty good example of a world, though, and I feel like it really added the nuances necessary to say it was its own world. It has AI that basically, when idle, will do something. Be it just breathing, be it pacing and patrolling, it it is smart enough to not just stand there and wait behind a closet and be an idiot, aka Doom. I think that's one big highlight that's actually a big difference between Quake and Doom that most people do not pay attention to. Most people end up saying Quake is basically Doom again. Honestly, I disagree because Doom was basically a bunch of enemies in corridors waiting to kill you. Quake is an actual world. Um, and it's not exactly easy to explain and whatnot. Like I said, it has a lot to do with the AI, the fact that the physics added to the world or whatnot adds some type of like I don't know, the physics alone adds something to it. And the 3D environment, I'm not gonna lie, 3D really helps or whatnot get rid of that semblance. Plus, like I said, the fact that the lack of physicality, the infinite height of the Doom engine, and then of course you be able to pass through things. Um, Things disappearing between water, whatnot, like Duke Nukem. It was like just in general, when it comes to sprite-based games, I seem to have a lot of problems. And then there's the clunkiness of the engine. I'm sorry, but I think one big detail about it is the fact that because all these games were made on DOS, and here's how it comes back to DOS. Um, Basically the performance makes it impossible to capture a world. Because think about it. If you're fighting with clunky HUDs and basically trying to inch through this world by using DOS-based controls, you're not going to get fully immersed. I'm sorry, but if you're fighting with DOS, you're probably not going to get immersed in the game as much as if it's a simpler, more optimized performance. Um, like I said, honestly, I feel like there's even a immersion difference between DOS-based Quake and GL Quake. And I think that's really the difference. Is not really the improvement of resolutions, not really the improvement of really anything. It's the fact of the matter that GL Quake, I basically can have whatever I want and still have good performance. While in DOSQuake, it feels like everything's coming apart at the seams even when I have it basically set minimum resolutions. Um, Basically, we've seen examples of that. And while things haven't been going bad lately, there's still the paranoia. Um, and so that's kind of like a shame in comparison to like GL Quake, whereby you just know everything's going to work. I can see why most people just say play with a modern source for it. At least something more modern than DOSWATs. I still have no idea why people want to use like a modern source port. I guess because they don't want to use the CD audio. I think that'd be like a big reason. But other than that, I really don't know too much about modern source ports, but it's kind of the idea of it not being official anymore. And I try to keep things as official as possible, so it kind of comes back on that. And so, yeah, I've been rambling for about nearly 10 minutes. In fact, there we are, the 10-minute check mark right now. Okay! So, this level. What a brilliant, brilliant level this is. If the dogs don't get you, Bubba will. Have a blast in Flesh Ville. Flesh Ville is, by the way, 2 words. Rather weird. Actually, I think it's if the dogs don't get you, the Bubba will have a blast in Flesh Ville. Or is it you? I think it's you. I think it's you. If the dogs don't get you, Bubba will. Not ya. Okay. So that's the thing. These little subtle, stupid details are gonna drive me nuts. But yeah. Basically, at the end of the day, it's one of the most wordy names you could ever have for a level. Conveniently in the level selection screen thing here, it's just called Flesh Ville. So that's the thing. Because Dark Hour has a level select screen, and like Q2's level select screen, it basically has level names instead of, say, level file names. You can basically use these and say that they're like secondary names. I still say like the primary name is the actual name of the level itself, but these are like alternative names. So yeah, Flesh Ville is the alternative to if the dogs don't get you, Bubba will have a blast in Flesh Ville, which is definitely a lot more wordy to pronounce. Um, yeah, it's also weird that Flesh Ville here is like one word and then Flesh Veil in the actual lengthy title. But hooray for inconsistencies! And yeah, like I said, I'm really wondering with that title, did they really just decide, let's try and see how long of a name we can cram into this thing? Seriously, it feels like honestly they were trying to go for a longest name award or something. Um, yeah, Quake can get some really long names, but the problem is that it has trouble rendering long names, as you saw with some Q2 levels that really stretched its limits. So yeah, you can imagine how horrible this one will look if you don't look in the console. Anyway, 5 people allowed to deathmatch. Of course, we have single player as well, and it's made by Sam Williams, who I completely forget. I have no idea what you made. This is kind of one of the brilliant things about Quake is the fact of the matter I can just basically create it and then forget his name entirely. And then when all of a sudden it like accidentally links them again, I can be like, oh my god, that was a person! That was a person who did something! What did he do? And I can find out for myself what he did, and then we can connect it and be like, wow, he created 2 levels! 2 amazingly horrible levels! Oh my god, he crashed and burned! And see, we can have a great discussion about it. But yeah, we would have that if we didn't have the ability to basically link things together, and that's why Quake is usually a great resource for trying to build this stuff up. I've definitely been thinking about what I'm going to be doing, whatnot, when I'm getting to Aftershock, because that's really the pack where I stopped last time. I think I'm actually going to continue with Quake or whatnot, and actually, continue articles there. I haven't done it in a very long time. I'll probably be a bit rusty, but I'm going to try and persevere and actually continue over there. I think this will basically be like almost like a blind playthrough thing at that point. It's basically going to be like I play it blind here first. You guys get to see whatever reactions I have to the level, and then basically I'll go back and detail everything on the Quake side of things. So yeah, expect a little bit of a slowdown after we get to that point, and that slowdown will actually probably be convenient to actually start tackling some other things, like getting back to Thief finally, or trying to get Unreal's issues straightened out, or anything else that I could be probably doing out there. There's probably lots of other things I could be doing. But we'll juggle all that when the time comes. Just needless to say, there's plans in the work for how exactly everything's going to be managed. And I'm not leaving everything hung up to dry for ages upon ages as I play hundreds upon hundreds of Quake levels. Yeah. So let's see here. Several rooms of various dark and creepy styles are linked by narrow claustrophobic hallways, ramps, and lifts. Medium-sized level with lots of shadowy corners to hide in, but small enough that you have to watch your back. Wait, if it's small enough, why would you be watching your back if you're hiding? If it's a corner, how would you be watching your back? And if it's small enough, I don't see why you'd be watching your back when you have to be watching the way that everybody would be coming from. Wouldn't it be kind of stupid to watch over your back if you're hiding in a dark corner? Okay, nobody here. Let me turn around and count to 20. 1, 2, and he's dead. Okay, let's load up this thing and play. If the dogs don't get you, Bubba will. Let's have a blast at Flesh Ville or whatever. There we are. Look at that brilliant name. If the dogs don't get you, Bubba will. Have a blast in Flesh Ville. Oh, look at that. Because of the resolution we're playing, and it has actually a nice, scaling. Hooray! Look at the terrible scaling here. My god, that looks horrible. Yeah. Don't even try and figure out how many secrets there are. Of course there is 0, but, yeah. Look at that. Look at that. Look how horrible it is. It's covering everything. That's just horrible. But, yeah. Let's see here. Nail gun, that could be useful for shooting things. But yeah, the good news about Dark Hour is that we don't have to worry about any secrets whatsoever. So, hooray for just blood around aimlessly. So much like Q2 in that regard. Oh, I get some free nails without even paying attention to what I was doing. I love when I do that. I also have a quad damage there. That could be useful. If I can actually fight my way up there. Now, I don't see any explosives, so we might need to use the quad damage to kill the zombies. Let's see here. Is there like a quad damage or any sort? Yeah, I'm not seeing one. Yep, I'm basically going to have to use a quad damage to kill the zombie. Okay. Oh, I think I essentially caused him to sit there. You, get up! I need to kill you! I'm a maniac grenade! I need to kill you, I'm sorry. Okay, let's go down the elevator that's coming up and trying to block me. Here I come to save the day. I'm a hero and that's okay. Okie dokie, things are dead. Oh god! Spawn! Oh god! Oh Lord Jetson! Oh Lord Jetson! Oh Lord Jetson! Oh Lord Jetson! Okay. Yeah, spawns are never a happy thing. So when you see what bounce away your face, it's never a promising sign. But hooray! It's dead. Ooh, look, that could be super stealthy. Ooh, I got a grenade launcher. Yeah, I can totally use that. Let's see here. Let's see what I can cause damage to. I need to cause damage to things. Hi. You look like an innocent victim. Looks like I'm going to be using the grenade launcher a bunch. Hooray! I wish to communicate with you by blowing you up. It's the only way I know how to say hello. It's how you say hello in my language, apparently. Some people say eep, oop up. I blow people up. This is why we can't be friends. Okie dokie, what's in here? Hooray! Another ring of shadows! Just what I needed. A totally pointless dead-end side area. What an amazing feature! I rate it 10 out of 10. Oh my god, it's another ring of shadows! Yes! My life is complete. Now I'll be super stealthy. Or maybe super stealthy! I got a third ring of shadows! Oh my god! Yeah, baby, a fourth ring of shadows! Now we're talking! And dual fishes! That means only 25 enemies. Time to kill the fishes! I have no idea what's going on right now. I'm killing fishes. I have no idea what these fishes did to me. They just kind of sat there and looked at me like idiots, but, the dogs still can't get bubba well. So we gotta kill everyone in Flesh Ville. I forget, is there like people up here? I can't tell. Yeah, hi, I'd like to complain about your existence. How do I kill you? And, oh god, there's a fiend! I should know there was a fiend. Hi. I might want to get a rocket launcher to kill these guys. Just saying. So, there's only 25. We killed most of the enemies already. Hooray! I didn't even realize I was doing that. Hooray for my recklessness. I see, there's a window. How much for the death knight in the window? How much for that scary light bomb? He owes me $50 and now he must be dead. Oh look, another quad damage. We must use it for the holy light of the hammer of righteousness. Yes, the hammer of righteousness compels thee. Where are you? Where are you, Scrag? Excessive gore! Ow, gore. I think that's actually everything. Hooray, we killed everything! Now what will I do in my life? Besides appreciate the wood trimmings, apparently. And here, you'll see a nice wooden trimment that is totally random! Seriously, what is this doing here? People, why is this here? Why is this a thing? I'm gonna go insane because of a random wood trimming in one of the edges of these levels. And then we have this. What is this? Why is this here? Why do you have architectural details? Oh yeah, if you haven't been paying attention, there's a bunch of random pyramids everywhere. Giant random metallic pyramids, yeah. That's totally rational sane. Mine's in the land of the lost for some reason, like one of those, what's it, like pylons or something like that? Yeah, hooray! We're back to 1970s, random geometry for everyone! Okay, let's see if we can climb the random pylons and get to somewhere sane and rational. Because, you know, when you see a random piece of geometry, the first thing you do is climb it. That's what I do. Yeah, you don't really want to jump on this because of, well, because of thrust and capacitors or something. I don't know what I'm talking about here. Basically, if you jump, you basically won't have enough clearance to actually land right. So you really just want to, like, inch along on these and, like, just climb your way up to freedom. People no resistance! I don't want to die! I said I don't want to die. I'm not suicidal, game. Please get me up there. Please get me up there. I don't want to die. I don't want to die. And you can help me with that mission, game. For $15 and half your time and a bunch of annoying little blinky lights everywhere. What is going on with this? What is this? Why did you decide to have a raid party in the middle of this random ventilation shaft? Seriously! Why? Why did you... Who even decided to light up the ventilation shaft like this? Yeah, I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to add some random ambient light into the middle of a random ventilation shaft. That's totally going to mess with them. Spooky! Oh, look, can we come out here, you know, with no real way to actually, like, elevate us up. You know, that's rational. Can't have anybody get up the elevator ventilation shaft. Nope, sorry. And in front of the exit, we have a bunch of fires. Yep. The exit's set on fire. Just walk through that. We'll totally be safe. Yep, I totally trust the reliability of this. Yeah, these wires aren't hazardous at all. Nope, sorry. Yeah, I feel totally safe right now. I mean, I'm being burned alive as a crisp, but apparently that's okay by Quake logic. Yeah, it says exit, but I'm seeing a random lava ball somewhere. Wait, why is there a lava ball? Why is there a lava ball up there? Wait a minute, people! There's something very funny going on here. It involves sweezy, spicy lava balls. We're at the exit anyway, so I'm actually gonna no-cut my way up there. Why is there a lava ball up here? Why is there... people! This is a stone ceiling! I expected this from Q2. Q2 is a terrible pack that basically throws together the most sloppy of concepts and calls their level. But why is there a lava ball in Dark Hour on the top of a ceiling? Hooray for complete lack of logicness! Fire is everywhere, and there's a random glowing thing. Shoot it! It makes you feel better. Do I dare exit the level? Is there anything trying to kill me? Hello? Hooray! I got 25 out of 27. I missed 2 enemies. Yay! Except those 2 enemies were rotfish, which means we never had the possibility to get all enemies. What an amazing and thrilling concept! I love being ripped out of my enemy count. You know, for kicks. Okay, next level. I love the fact that even when we get to the, basically the stat screen, we still have a crosshair. Why do we still have a crosshair? Couldn't we, like, cut out the crosshair while I'm looking at the stat screen? What am I exactly shooting at when I'm looking at my stats? Gotta be prepared. Okay, next time around, we'll be checking out Mesa. Because what's better than a map involving bubba? A map involving Mexican architecture! Yeah! I can totally get behind that. Why do I always say exit? But yeah. If the dogs don't get you, Bubba will. Have a blast in Flesh Ville. First of all, why is it called Flesh Ville? Second of all, what dogs? There were like a few dogs this level, but did you really need to name the level after the weakest enemy in the game? Like you could have devoted this to anything, and you devoted it to the weakest enemy. Yeah, honestly, this level seemed to have a lot of variety with enemies too. I wouldn't honestly say it was like all dogs or something. Honestly, something like Dog Ring at least felt a bit more acceptable than what we saw here in terms of enemy variety. But you know, dogs! If the dogs don't get you, Bubba will. And who on earth is Bubba? I said it before, I'll say it again. Who in God's name is Bubba? I really want to know. I want to know who Bubba is and how he expects to get me. I kind of finished the level, so, who's Bubba? I kind of want to know who Bubba is now. And this is something that's going to drive me crazy, isn't it? Because we have no way to know who on earth Bubba is. But yeah, I need to know this, people. I need to know who Bubba is. Please tell me who the southern redneck who drinks beer all the time is, because that's the only people I can think of who's named Bubba. Like seriously, what a name, Bubba. Bubba. Then again, isn't there like Bubba J, Bubba Brown? I don't know who's Bubba. It's a random name to use, Bubba. And who on earth is Bubba? Who in God's name in this level was Bubba? Was it that Scrag? Wasn't that random Scrag that we saw? Is that Bubba? I need to know who we're yelling Bubba to. We need to be able to find out who's called Bubba so we can scream at them over and over and over for the course of a video. We need this. This is important. This is the most important thing we could devote our time towards, is finding out who Bubba is and screaming at him over and over and over. Because that's what annoying people do. And, with that in mind, basically, try and figure out who Bubba is for me, please. I'd like to be able to harass him. We gotta be like paparazzi with like a rocket launcher instead of a camera. And ask Bubba, who are you or why do you want to get me? What are you after? Are you after... What are you after? What does Quake guy have that you want? Does he have drugs? Does Quake guy have drugs? Do you want the drugs that allows you to see the pyramids? Is this what this is all about? Being able to see those 1970s pylons that float everywhere? This is how Quake guy got to the top of a random ventilation shaft? He basically was seeing magical pylons? And Bubba basically wants the ability to be able to see magical pylons as well? Am I looking too much into this? I need to know who Bubba is. I'm going to be driven crazy by this. But yeah, in terms of level, this level is pretty linear in design. Not surprised at all if you saw it. There's really, like, nowhere to really go that's, like, a side area at all. And I think that's a little bit worse at, like, a normal Quake level. I think in a normal Quake level, you do have, like, little side areas and different things. So it felt definitely a little bit more direct and linear than, say, your, average Quake level is. Definitely a lot more linear than something like Abstract was. So Abstract is pretty much a good example of a non-linear level. That thing you're basically flying all over the place in any direction you want. But yeah, this is pretty linear. There's a lot of power-ups in this one. What was up with the tank with the 4 Ring of Shadows? Like, seriously, why do we have 4 Ring of Shadows right next to each other? Another Ring of Shadows in the area nearby. A bunch of quad damages. It just felt like this was power-up central in the middle of this map. And there really wasn't much payoff in terms of, like, tough enemies at all. It really felt pretty simple, honestly, to complete. I mean, that really has kind of been case to case with Dark Hour, honestly. Dark Hour really, I remember reading, like, a review where a guy said that he got his, like, butt handed to him here, but he kind of plays on normal difficulty. And honestly, as a hard Nightmare veteran who basically shotgun started every level, I'll basically say Dark Hour really doesn't feel that hard. At least not so far. This has been pretty simple every single mission. And yeah, I think like this one in particular was a very good sleeper mission. I do like some of the concepts. I like the random platformer pylon thing. It was totally random and totally like just out of place entirely, but random pylons! Sure, I'll go with that. It's totally abstract, original. You don't see random pylons in every level. It's something that you'll totally say, this is, Bubba, if the dogs don't get you, Bubba will have a blast with Flesh Ville. See, that's the thing, I can't even talk about this level without having a really long-winded thing to say. What an annoying name for a level, because every time we refer to it, we have to say a really long-winded, annoying name. This is really terrible. And no wonder it was basically just shortened down in the level select screen, because that's terrible to say for a name. Oh yeah, you know that level? No, don't say the name. But yeah, basically, like I said, it's pretty linear. Has a lot of things, makes you really overpowered. The journey itself, I guess you could say, is alright. It didn't really do anything offensive, besides the fact that it's extremely linear. but also really didn't do much anyway. It really felt like just a few corridors that were pretty much connected to each other, and then you had the pylon area, and then the end! Yeah, it really felt really quick. I know this is supposed to be a mid-sized level and all, but it really felt really, really short. Then again, Abstractions is supposed to be a large level, and that one felt pretty, just relatively small size still. Yeah, honestly, don't believe anything they say about scale in these. Honestly, I think Dark Hour in general is pretty small levels. Um, yeah, you don't see levels the size of like original Quake in any of this stuff. Definitely not. So yeah, if you were expecting anything that lasts like a bit of time, I don't really think Dark Hour will really do that. Um, and definitely not this one. Like I said, this one isn't really like fully horrible. It's just the fact of the matter that it really, is just linear and really doesn't really do anything that really was that interesting besides be a corridor shooter with a weird platforming section. Like I said, the platforming section was a little bit interesting just because of how random it was. But other than that, this was a really just kind of their mission. So, yeah, definitely not my favorites on the list of things. Anyway, all that in mind, my god, I have extended this over half an hour once again. I cannot seem to just get a level to actually be, a decent 10 minutes or so. No, everything's been extended to ridiculous lengths. I don't know if that's Dark Hour's fault because the level's again longer, or if I'm just happen to really be blabbing in every single one of these. It's probably the latter. But, yeah, I like talking. And I think I have a lot more to say about Dark Hour than I had about Q2. See, I think I even said about Q2, but it basically became, basically after like 20 or so levels, you basically get to a point where, because it's so monotonous, you're like, yep, here's a level. I picked up gun. I shot gun. Thing dead. The end. Yeah, it really doesn't allow for much of a good commentary environment. It's pretty much a shame. Like I said, it's kind of, you can really only comment on what exactly you're given, and really Q2 is not the best environment to really comment on. But I wanted to show it. I wanted to get through it and say we survived Q2. Now we can get a T-shirt that says we survived Q2. Honestly, I should have gotten that one 2 years ago, but nobody gave it to me. So now I'm basically trying to reorder it. And other than that, really, that's really everything. So yeah, I think this is really going to be a good place to call it quits. Thank you very much all for watching. It has been a great adventure, and I shall see you all next time.